Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. And for today's video, I'll share with you the basic tips for artifacts, and simple methods of how to defeat the Rift 4 and 5 boss. If you didn't watch the previous video on how to defeat the R1, R2, and R3 bosses, I'll drop the link below. So, let's start. For the Ocean Conquest Rift. Note: when you enter this rift, at least you have 30k HP and 1k defense, to make sure that you will survive the boss's attack. And before you start fighting the boss, don't auto-cast your skill. So, let's start with tank. The roles of the tank in this rift is to interrupt the boss skill. And when you go this far, at least you have a full skill set for tank build. And if you didn't know how to interrupt the skill, use the Warcry and Berserker skill. In this way, you can interrupt the boss skill, but you can't taunt the enemy. And when you start fighting, the boss will cast the Tentacle Frenzy, and the tank should interrupt this skill. Note: if you didn't interrupt this skill, your party will receive a huge damage. And if your healer can't catch up the healing, there's a chance that some of your party will die on the Abyssal Heavy Press. And when the boss is using Abyssal Heavy Press, use the Banner or Stalwart Shield. And for the Acolyte, use this skill for this rift: Restoration, Group Healing and Radiant Barrier. At least you have a full skill set for healer build. And don't auto-cast your skill, but you can auto the Restoration and Group Healing sometimes. And when you start fighting the boss will cast the Tentacle Frenzy. And if the tank forget to interrupt the skill, just in case, be ready to use the Group Healing. And then, when the boss is about to jump or using the Abyssal Heavy Press, use the Radiant Barrier to lessen the taken damage. For 2 DPS. At the beginning of the fight, the boss Fin will appear. And if you see this, the 2 DPS should attack each Fin. And when they destroy it, the boss will enter imbalanced state, and in this brief moment, the boss will take more damage. Note: when you see this parrot will drop a bomb on the deck, and one of your party should pick it up and fire it from the cannon to deal a huge damage. It's better to fire the cannon when the boss is in the imbalanced state because will do more damage. And for the Rift 5. This rift is a little difficult, but if you know the strategy, it become easy. And again, don't autocast your skills. And at least you have an artifacts when you fighting this rift. Let's start with the tank. In Rift 4, the tank should interrupt the boss. But in this rift, the tank should taunt the boss. Just remove the Berserker passive skill. First, when the boss is casting the Evil Wood Heavy Strike, use the Stalwart Shield. This action repeated in the first phase. And when the boss entered the second phase, the boss will cast a Violent Ground Smash. Use Banner of Courage or Stalwart Shield. And when the boss is about to attack the other party members, the tank should taunt the boss. Just don't forget to taunt if needed. And for the healer, this skill you should use: Restoration, Purification, and Divine Healing. When you start fighting the boss will cast an infection. The healer should use the Purification to remove the infection. This action repeated in first phase. And when the boss entered the second phase, the boss will cast a Violent Ground Smash. And this time the Acolyte should use Divine Healing. And for the 2 DPS. When the boss summoned 2 mobs, the 2 DPS should kill each mobs. And if the DPS didn't kill it, it will explode, and the party will deal a huge AoE damage. And if your healer can't catch up the healing because of the explosion, there's a chance that someone in your party will die. and when the boss entered in second phase. At least, one of DPS should change their one skill, to interrupt the boss skill. And when the boss is casting the Leaf Rain, the DPS should interrupt it. Well, if the tank can take the damage, you can fight without changing the skill. Note: when the boss is cast the last words, do not use any tactical skill. Because if you use any tactical skill, you will take heavy and stacking damage every time you cast a skill. And for artifacts, before you able to get an artifacts, you should finish the 14-2 main story. And you should reach level 65. And when you meet the requirements, go to camp and click this icon. And this is where you can get a rare, epic, and legendary artifacts. Every 1 artifacts equals to 10 energy. And this is a random chance, because not every 10 energy you will get an artifacts. Sometime you will get an basic, intermediate, and advanced resonance stone. But don't worry, this stone is very important for upgrading your artifacts. So everything in this treasure hunt is important. If you want to see the chances for every artifact and stone, click the Dark Moon Forest and click this icon. These are the chances you'll get in the treasure hunt. And after you used your all energy, click here. And by this, using Stellarite at least 3 times. The recommended is 3 times, but if you want, you can buy 4 or 5. And after that, click here. And you'll see all the artifacts you got. And combine all the combinable artifacts you have. And before you upgrade your artifacts, click here. See if you have a set or bond artifacts. And you'll see there's a given stats for +3, +6, +9, and +10. And if you have bond artifacts, upgrade it first, at least +3. This is recommended if you have limited resources. And upgrade it into +6 or +9 if you gain more resources. Because if you have a bond artifacts, it will give you a great stats for your growth. And after that, go back to Artifacts Vault. And before you upgrading other artifacts, and if you have limited resources, choose an artifacts that can help you. Like artifacts that have good passive effects, like this. Because some artifacts have a specific passive effects. Like this one. This attack plus 3.3% will affects if you are in the prairie map only. And the other is forest, desert, etc. And if you have more resources, you can upgrade all your artifacts to +3 or +4. Note: and if you have this, Turbid Amber, don't use this to stir up your rare artifacts. It's better to use this for epic artifacts. And don't use your intermediate resonance stone to upgrade a random artifacts. It's better to use this intermediate resonance stone on your set or bond artifacts. And if you want to see what region you are at, click to map and click on the stages. And in the upper left, you'll see what region you are. And that's for today's video. If you like this video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.